Hello. I always shock myself when I speak so loud. It's a bit loud, huh? You can hear me okay? Because I tend to yell already, so I'm going to try and whisper. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Telefónica. Thank you, Aspen Institute, for giving us again the space to reflect on technology and values, which I always appreciate. Today I'm especially, and I'm Noelia Amoedo, by the way, today we're going to have a chance to focus on the aerospace industry, which is very exciting because as an industry they certainly deal with the dilemmas of an ethical in that balance between innovation and responsibility, right? At least for me, the aerospace industry is the embodiment of technological innovation. They send satellites to outer space. But also, as an industry, is one of the pillars of national security, and in the case of Airbus, a key to support Europe in their strategy for independence, right? So we'll talk about responsibility. And it's not like we're going into a world with fewer geopolitical tensions, unfortunately. So very excited to not only talk about aerospace, but to do so with Catherine Jestin, who I'm absolutely honored to have the chance to have this conversation with. Catherine, she's the Executive VP of Digital at Airbus. She's been with the company since 2013, although in this position only since 2020. She leads a team of about 3,500 people, leads the digital strategy of the company, empowering different teams through digital, dealing with cybersecurity, innovation, artificial intelligence. Prior to that, she was in Rio Tinto, and prior to that at Accenture. So again, thank you so much, Catherine, to be here. First, she's going to talk for a few minutes, and then we'll open it up to a conversation between the two of us first, and then open it up to the audience for questions. Yes? The stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Maybe just a few words to set a little bit the scene and the context in which Airbus is operating. So today we have in front of us a lot of challenges, and we are currently at the beginning of what we call the fourth revolution of the aerospace industry. So the first one was to make things fly. Was at the beginning of the century. Then it was to make it fly safely. And then to make it affordable so everybody can fly, and it was about democratization of aviation. The fourth revolution will be to make it sustainable, and in particular, the transformation in which we are now engaged is the decarbonation. The entire industry has committed to net zero by 2050, and in the aviation industry, 2050 is just tomorrow, because it seems far away, but to develop a new aircraft, to put that in place, it's a new aircraft is basically 10 years of development. So if we want to achieve our goal by 2050, we need to start now. So for us, that's and we were talking about responsibility. So that's the responsibility that Airbus is taking, is really to reach that objective, to make sure that we provide a sustainable aviation for everyone, because we are truly convinced convinced that traveling is and moving from one place to the other is a way to maintain unity, to maintain the world safe. So another challenge that we have is the geopolitical tensions that we see everywhere, and we see first of all in Europe, in Ukraine. Then we have seen also development recently in the Middle East, and finally, there are also tension in the Far East around Taiwan and between Taiwan and China. So with a very and it's very volatile with new government in the US that will take office mid of January. We will have election in Germany in a few months. As you have probably heard, the last election in France were not a big success. So we are a little bit in a position where the government is not 100% stable, let's say it this way. Then we have also at the European level a new commission that will take office at the beginning of the year, and so there is a lot of changes, and it's a very volatile environment that requires for us to adapt and to make sure that we do the right thing and we do it right, and it's really at the core of what we do to really ask ourselves these questions and to really pursue the goals that we have set for ourselves. So if I come to digital, today digital is everywhere. In a company like Airbus, you don't have one single department, one single employee who is not using laptops, mobile phones, tablets, whatever, and digital means in their daily activities. So it's a significant element for the competitiveness of the company, for the efficiency, for the resilience, and we have seen for when some companies are sadly under attack from a cyber perspective, for example, that it can have significant consequences. Some of our suppliers have suffered from that. They were down for several weeks, in some cases even months. Some have not recovered. So all of this is something we need to treat also seriously. And the missions that we have defined for the digital organization in Airbus is of course to support our employees, to support our suppliers, to support our customers, but also to do it the right way. And basically now we have defined elements to be secured by design, to be compliant by design. There was a lot of new regulations affecting the digital world in the past few years. The Data Act, Data Governance Act, Data Market Act, Data Service Act, Artificial Intelligence Act, Cybersecurity Resilience Act, and more to come, unfortunately. So we need also to apply and to be compliant. But now it's also about being sustainable by design, and it's also about being ethical by design. So how do you enforce and do you put in place policies and rules for all the teams to make sure that in everything they do, they think about the security, they think about the compliance, they think about the sustainability of their solution on the long term. So it is changing a lot the way the teams are addressing the way they are delivering the services, they are developing the new solutions. It is putting a lot of burden on them. So it's also, and it requires a lot of training for our people, but also for our suppliers. So we need also to onboard our suppliers in that journey, because we don't deliver everything on our own. So we have an ecosystem of digital suppliers with whom we are working to develop that. I think that maybe the last challenge we have, we are in the defense industry, and we are also a kind of iconic European company. So with also a need to protect our knowledge, to protect our know-how, to protect our intellectual property. And so we have today a lot of challenges around building a European sustainable digital sovereign ecosystem, and that's a massive challenge, because this is the digital world is very much dominated by US companies, and when we start to talk about sovereign cloud, sovereignty of data, cybersecurity, it's a major challenge in front of us, and we have the opportunity to shape that, not just Airbus, but with other companies, where we have discussion with the Commission, discussion at the moment it's on a regulation called EUCS, so for the cloud service providers, so regulations that will apply to them, but a few months ago was for AI, and with the support of the Spanish government and the presidency of Spain at the moment, was very helpful to really get regulations that was really helping the development and leaving plans for innovation for the companies, and that's at the same time ensuring that the companies who are using AI or who are developing AI solutions ask the right questions to themselves in terms of, okay, what are the risks? What does it mean from a human perspective? What does it mean from a financial perspective? What does it mean from an energy consumption perspective? So really forcing us and to really ask the right question and to make the right decision, and that's what we try to do. So typically for AI in Airbus, we have defined ethical principle. We are currently writing the policy, and the idea is really to use AI as an augmentation of the human and not a replacement of the human. So we have a lot of examples of use cases that will help the employees to do their job better, to do it faster, to be more efficient. But the idea is not to replace the human by artificial intelligence. So even if there will be also cases, in particular in defense, where you see that already in Ukraine, when you talk when we talk about drones, we talk about artificial intelligence machines. So it will also in some cases go to the replacement. And maybe I will stop there and start the conversation. So, and I'm happy to take any question from you tonight.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. So let me try and generate some conversation first between the two of us around some of the things you said. I couldn't help by feeling, as you were going through, privacy by design, compliancy by design, ethics by design, and all those regulations that you listed, and it was probably not yet a complete list, that for Airbus, with hundreds of lawyers that you have in place and the ability to set up a committee to review and whatnot, is something that you can accomplish, and it can actually turn into a competitive advantage for big companies. But we were talking about innovation, right, at the beginning, and innovation often comes from smaller, more agile companies that don't have all those lawyers or resources to face that, right? So is the regulation flexible enough or proportional enough, or how does it allow these innovation in smaller companies to flourish, if it does?
So I think there is several. I think the regulation is flexible enough. It has to, but it has to be explained. So I think one big part to maintain the innovation will be to have a decoded version of the AI Act that everybody can read, everybody can understand. What are the obligations? Because basically, AI Act is not complicated. It's about making sure that you assess the risk of the usage that you do for AI, and to do so, you have a list of criteria, and it's up to every enterprise to just have a check. And in case you end up with a high risk case, go to your authority and to say, okay, I have this use case. We think that there is a lot of value behind it, but there are risks. How do we mitigate the risk together? And we find always solution to mitigate risk. We have a few cases in the aerospace industry where, for example, we could use facial recognition to identify the dizziness or the tiredness of a pilot in the cockpit. That's a very important use case because it can even increase the safety of a flight. At the same time, you don't want that information to be used by the airline to sanction the pilot. So you need to find a way where this information will be captured, will be shared, but where you will have either a commitment from the airlines not to use it, or to find a way to anonymize the information, etc. So you always can find type of ideas when you work with your authorities to mitigate all the risk that you have that will occur from the use of AI. But we need first to really make sure that the smaller organization get a Reader Digest version of the AI Act that make it easy for them to understand and easy to apply. And then it's about each and everybody to also take the responsibility to do that assessment. So,
but it's the responsibility to ask themselves the right questions in the first place, and then do what they can do to mitigate them.
Absolutely.
Right? And then obviously when we talk about regulation, we talk about fines. That those should also be proportional to. But it's about changing the mindset. I guess that's the by design part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's now imagine a world in which we've managed to allow for this innovation to flourish, right? But then we live in a world where not everybody plays by the same rules, right? And it's a global world. I read Airbus mission, and I really liked it, right? The mission is to pioneer sustainable aerospace for a safe and united world. And that is, it resonates with my values, right? Then of course, Airbus plays in the space sector. There is another company in the space sector, which I'm not going to name for now, but you're going to know who they are, whose mission, now in the website actually has been replaced by a quote from the CEO, but the mission originally was to revolutionize space technology and ultimately enable people to live in other planets, right? But already the mission is about revolutionizing. There's a different mindset there, and I don't think maybe necessarily compliance or compliance by design was the first thing they thought when implementing their strategy, yet they have like 7,000 satellites in orbit. They're doing, 10 launches a week and have gathered quite some market share and power in the world, right? Can we compete being responsible? Because we may have the great values that we are convinced should drive the world, but if we're not competitive, we cannot really uphold them, right? What do you think?
I think we can be competitive. The proof is that if we take the aviation and the airplanes, we also have a big competitor on the other side of the Atlantic. But for the moment, we are proud to be the number one. So I agree that and honestly, SpaceX is an extremely successful company. They have really revolutionized and at the moment they are leading, but we will catch up. So we already have plans in Europe to see how we can catch up. What we have to change in our industry, how we should partner across companies and across countries to build a European champion for space, and be in a position where we can compete with SpaceX. So we don't give up. So and the Airbus is having a space business. So we will not give up. So we will continue to fight. We will learn from their success too. And I think it's an important part also of in innovation is also to learn from the success of others, and to be able to replicate and to go in the same direction. I think that especially in the aerospace industry, is a very long-term industry. So when you launch a new plane, when you launch a satellite, when you create a launchers, it's for decades. So it gives you the time also to catch up and to be also innovative in your camp. So and that's what happened to Airbus a few years ago when we launched the A320neo. It was a surprise to our competitor, and this is that model that has brought us to where we are today. So innovation is I don't think Europe has a disadvantage in terms of innovation. We have talents in all our countries, so there is no reason why we cannot be innovative. And I don't think the regulations it will come and the day you enter into service, but all the initial part on research and development, etc., is not that much constraint. So you can try things, you can test things, you can have ideas, innovate, and then yes, when it comes to implement in the real life and at scale, yes, the regulation is coming into play, but before that, there is not that much constraint. And if we come back to the AI Act, I think we are forefront in Europe, so we are ahead of the pack. And the conviction that I have is that, as it has been the case for GDPR, the AI Act will become a kind of standard de facto in the future and will be adopted because honestly, I really think it's a good regulation, like GDPR was. GDPR has been adopted along with other names, but the principle and the idea was coming from Europe. And today, there is not one single country worldwide who doesn't have a privacy data.
So you think there is consensus around that, independently of who is in the administration at any given time?
Yes. I think, And I have talked AI with a lot of companies in Europe, but also in the US, in India, in Singapore, and they all agree on the fact that we need to do it right, and that we need to make sure that we have not we have ethical principle in AI to avoid that it is going that it is completely going south.
Right. Yet, I like to believe that. Yet the same thing we're applying. We're talking about SpaceX as the example, and the mindset of let's just disrupt and revolutionize. The same could apply to the digital arena, and in particular to AI, right? And just thinking about conversations around generative AI, that started 2 years ago to be intense. Everybody was for regulation, and then now it's like, okay, maybe not a non-profit, maybe a for-profit, and I'm not as super confident that it's going to go the right way. I think we continue to fight for that, but I'm not completely sure all incentives are 100% aligned for that. But in the digital space, again, that mindset of let's break it and then we'll sort it out, it can be very, very dangerous in the case of AI. And you were mentioning, moving down the points that you brought up about data sovereignty, right? That is very important for Airbus, but I think also geopolitically, not only data, but some digital sovereignty.
So absolutely. So today, and especially because of all the tensions that we see around us at the moment, I truly believe that the digital sovereignty will be a key asset for Europe. Today, as I've said, digital is very US dominated, and I think that for Europe it's a risk. So it means that we need progressively to regain some sovereignty on the different elements, but it's not just the data, or it's not just the cloud. It's really the entire, what I call the supply chain of digital. So it means that we need to regain independence and autonomy with the chips. And you probably know that in Spain there is a big program that has been launched to go in that direction with significant investment. If I remember well, it's around the 3 billion digit. Then it's about the compute. So the servers, the HPC, were again very much US dominated yet. Then it's about the cloud, of course. It's about the data. It will be about AI, and all of this with the proper cybersecurity. So that's all these elements that we need to assemble, and we have some. I did not mention software, of course, but software, AI, we have very nice companies in Europe. Mistral is one very successful AI company. Preligence is another one. So there are, and we have these diamonds in Europe. So that we need to keep. on data, we have also some assets. We have assets in cybersecurity, also very nice and complete companies around cybersecurity. So we do not go from zero. We do not start from scratch. We already have some assets. Now we need to put them together to have the entire chain and secure some independence and some autonomy for Europe. Why is it important? Because especially if you are Airbus, there are some information that you do not want to be exposed to extraterritorial laws. That's your commercial information, so how much you sell an aircraft to airlines, how much you buy engines to manufacturers, which are very, very competitive information on the market. So when there are big campaigns, you want your price to be protected. Then everything that has to do with research and development. I was talking about the decarbonation of our industry. So you can imagine that we do a lot of research and development on hydrogen powered engine, for example, on the wings, the wings of the future, the fuselage of the future, and the composite, etc. So all of this is very valuable information that we are spending 3 billion a year on R&T topics. You don't want this to take the results of this 3 billion and give it to the competition. So you need that sovereignty in terms of cloud. So you need your infrastructure to be located in Europe. You need your data to stay in Europe. You need all of this to be managed by European citizens and European companies to make sure that extraterritorial laws do not apply. The other benefit of having your infrastructure in Europe is also that you will get the business continuity. So nobody can unplug, let's say, your access to the cloud, because again, it's managed by a European company. It's managed on infrastructure that are located here, so nobody can prevent you to access to your application, to your data, and to your information systems. So for me, that's why we are so much advocating towards the Commission and ENISA on the EUCS so-called I+ level, is to allow this to be available. It's not to impose it on everyone. It's really a voluntary scheme. But it's extremely important that we can have this right for the companies. And again, Airbus will use it for a very small part of our information. I was mentioning them. All the other information, I don't need the same level of access. So it's for a fragmented, a minimum part of the information. It is voluntary, so we do not force anybody to do it, but we absolutely need it. And we have a lot of companies who have joined us in that search. We have more than 40 companies who have signed a support letter to EUCS I+. We have the Association of the Small and Medium Enterprise in Europe, so representing 45,000 enterprises who has also signed the call. So it's not just the big companies, it's also for the smaller, because you were mentioning it, a lot of innovation is also coming from small and medium organizations. It's not just the big guys that are innovative. And we need to provide that access also and that protection to the smaller organization. Mm-hmm. And you were mentioning will it be difficult for them to adapt to the regulation? Something that we are doing with Gaia-X. Gaia-X is an association that has been created in Europe for the sovereignty of digital, was the motto, and I'm currently the chairman of the board of directors. But what we are doing is automating the compliance. So if UCS come, we will have an automated way to check if the services are EUCS compliant. So for a company, if a software providers or an infrastructure provider, cloud provider is saying, I am a UCS I+, and it has been stamped by the clearinghouse, you know that you can trust and you can go there. So they will not have to bother on doing big studies and have tens of architects checking that if it's true or not. It will be done from automated systems. Thanks to AI. So yeah, sometimes all of this is coming together.
That's a positive use of AI.
Yeah.
So we're in a good place, according to you, or
no. It's a difficult place. It's a difficult place because we are far away. Let's also be. Let's be honest with ourselves. If you look at what Google or Amazon or Microsoft have created in terms of capabilities, we don't have anything equivalent in Europe. But I think that if we accept to work with these guys with the proper rules, and EUCS I+ is one of them, I think we can learn from there. We can develop something that will work for Europe, and that will bring us closer to the guys,
more independent,
and more independent, more autonomous, and from there you can build in the industry. You can develop skills. You can develop services. That will be to the benefit of the European economy. But to do that, we need to accept to work together. All European,
my next question.
All European countries. So because otherwise, if everyone is playing for his own country, we will never have the scale to be able to build this champion and this digital sovereignty. If it remains at the country level, it will be too narrow to be successful, and we will fail. So we really need to work all together, and to make sure that we are developing across the countries, and we are grouping our forces on this topic.
That's another disadvantage we have versus the US, because we have 27 that need to agree, and again, the forces are not going necessarily in the let's work together direction.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There's, as we were talking about ethics in AI, and you gave us an example of asking yourself the right question when it comes to, okay, this can help our safety of our aircrafts a lot, or our employees a lot. There's always, but is it ethical? And asking the right question brings you already to maybe finding an answer. We can do it, but at the same time, we can protect what needs to be protected. I guess there's two ways in which you can use AI broadly, and wanted to ask you about Airbus. One is the low-hanging fruit, which is let's use AI to just make our processes more effective, and you were mentioning the example of the cockpit, but what if the company then identifies the phase and that? I imagine when making processes more effective within the company or for your employees, you will have a lot of but how does that affect my rights as an employee? Or also loved how you talk about augmented intelligence, right? But by definition, when we're making things more effective, we may need less people doing that, or less time of that person doing that. So as you implement AI, which I know you're doing a lot internally to make processes more effective, how do you prepare for the challenges that may come with the replacement that we don't want to replace, we want to empower, but things will change?
We have so we are extremely lucky at Airbus because in front of us we have 10 years of production. So we have a backlog of 8,000 aircraft, and we are in a ramp-up phase. So it means that this year we will produce around 770 aircraft, and progressively we will grow up to 1,000. So it means that if I improve the efficiency, I will not replace people. I will just hire less.
Okay.
But because
we're in a lucky place.
Yeah, so we are in a very lucky position because we have this growth in front of us, and so that's the right moment for us to capture that opportunity to get more efficient. But what is very interesting is that when we have built one of the first AI generative AI solutions that we have built was an assistant for the workers. So the guys who are really assembling the aircraft and doing the work in the shop floor. And we were a little bit nervous about how it will be received by the people, knowing that we have very young guys in the shop floor coming from apprenticeship, so very digital native, let's say, but we also have very experienced employees, so a very large span of culture and habits with digital things. I was very surprised that it was extremely well accepted by everyone. We were coming with the small application. We had put it on a tablet, and the guys and basically for them they could ask the AI everything about the operations they have to do. So what is the talk that I need to apply in that operation? What is the tools that I need to use? What is the data that I need to feed in the system to complete my operation? So they can really ask all kinds of questions. And basically they said two things. Your tablet, forget about it. I want it on my mobile phone. Because my mobile phone, I can take it with me in the aircraft, where your tablet, I cannot. Sometimes you are in very narrow areas to work, and I cannot have the tablet on top of everything, so I want it on my mobile phone. And second, forget about the fact that I will type the question. I want to tell the telephone my question. And here, and basically we were going back to them, and the main issue now that we are facing is the guys. We need the AI to understand all the accent in English. That is, believe me, is not really good. So so we need to make sure that the AI understand all type of pronunciation of English questions, etc. So we have another AI on the AI to make the translation. And to be able to translate the question into the system, but I was really surprised. I was expecting some pushback, exactly as you said, and all the guys were saying, "Oh yeah, you will make my work so much easier." Because today, when I don't know, I need to go back to the station. I need to look in the documentation. I need to go through tens and hundreds of pages before I can find the information that I need. Here, you give me that in a few seconds. So the challenge is there was no challenge from the teams. So same thing, we have done another assistant for the lawyers, so they can ask any question on the contracts. So you imagine the size of a contract when you are selling aircraft. So it's not a 2 pages contract. So same thing, to find, okay, where is the clause on AOG? Where is the clause on? So they can ask any question on the contract. Is there a missing clause when they are preparing a contract? Do I miss one of the standard clause that should be in the contract? Did I forget something in my contract? So they can ask this question. Same thing, no pushback at all. They just see it as, okay, it will help me to do my job.
The AI is replacing them, but only on the boring stuff.
Exactly. So exactly. So it really helps them to
really
focus. To really focus on what really matters for them. And so far we don't have too much pushback, and people are really eager to get it. I'm harassed every day at the moment because we are in the process to negotiate with Google on the implementation of Gemini in our environment, and I'm getting questions every day at the plant. When do we get it? And yes, and I have same thing, boring stuff to write the minutes of meetings. Nobody like it. So if we can already get a draft, and you just have to review the draft, adapt it a little bit because it doesn't understand everything well, but it's already doing maybe 70% of the job, and you can focus your time on more interesting and innovative stories. And
then now that you mentioned that we were talking about data sovereignty before and access to your data and stuff, is that in a good place? Is that in a safe place from your perspective?
Yeah.
How did you manage that? Because the impression is everything goes into the model and then you can extract it back, and then
the models that we have with Google is it will be installed in our environment. So it's inside the Airbus environment. It will be teach with our content,
data.
Our data, and we have more than, I think now, 70-something millions of documents in Google Workspace. So we will teach the model on the content, but it will not go out. So the model is coming in. Then it is trained, so a pre-trained model, let's say, is coming in. Then it is trained again to take into account Airbus knowledge, but then it stays there. There is no feedback loop that is going to the original model.
Great. So, and there's not much training or reskilling you need to do with the employees?
We will have to, because one of the things also that is important is that you need to teach your employees on how to do a prompt. So I don't know how many of you are using ChatGPT in their private life. Okay, so most of you. So you know that depending on the way you ask the question, you get a very different answer. So if you want to get the answer you are expecting, you need to respect a certain syntax and way of asking and writing your prompt. So that's a upskilling that we will have to do with our employees, and that we have started already, because we have a pilot. So I think we trained already 1,000 something people who are starting to use Gemini, and who are starting to also define best practices that they will be able to share. So we have a very active community of people exchanging between themselves and saying, oh, you know what, I did this with Gemini, it doesn't work, you have to do that. So they are sharing the experience together. So but the training will be important. So, and the upskilling will be important, because same thing, if you want everyone to be to get the benefits of the assistants that we will build, of the configurators and all the topic that we have we have identified more than 600 use cases in Airbus. So for all of this, you will have to train people. So and we should not underestimate that because it can be a reason for major failure. If we don't explain how to use it, we may have people who can reject it or just not using it the right way, and not getting the answers that they are looking for.
So that's the first part, making all processes more efficient and help people not have to do the boring stuff and provide more value. Now, the other way to use AI is to be embedded in your products, right? And there's also, especially when we come to defense and armament or drones or jets, where's the automation? Where do you keep the human versus automating? It's not as easy a question as in, reading through hundreds of contracts. That's boring, clearly, and we don't bring much value, right?
And I think that today the jury is still out. So first of all, the AI Act does not apply to defense. So the possibilities are much wider. Doesn't mean that we don't need to ask the same questions for the application of AI in the defense industry. And
so right now there's no regulation.
No. For the time being, there is no regulation. So we need, and again, the jury is out because there will. So first, and if we talk about AI, for example, on airplanes, we are a highly regulated industry. So before we can introduce any AI in our product, we need the approval from EASA. So the European Agency for Space and Aviation. So we cannot introduce anything in the aircraft that is not certified. So, and that will be one of the difficulty of defining AI for this application, because you will have to demonstrate that your algorithm or your AI cannot do mistake. So you don't want an AI hallucinating in an airplane, of course. So the demonstrability will be extremely difficult. So we are, I think, years away from seeing that in the aviation industry. On the defense, you already have AI in the drones that are currently used in Ukraine in the war. So it's not a question if it will come or not. It is there. So and we will have to. And Europe is building already this kind of drones, and it will continue. So,
but we're how autonomous, I guess, or how much of human control? Where does the human?
But you have so there is basically two models, and again, jury is out. Today there is no regulation. You have a regulation for the treatment of prisoners during the war, but we don't have any regulation or any agreement on how we will deal with automated drones. So you can have a decision that is made at the beginning, for example, what is the target and the condition of engagement, and then autonomy. Until the end, or you can decide that even until the end there is still a way to make the decision by a human, because drones can be piloted also from the ground, from the ground. So, and today there is, I think, all the models are in questions. I think it will be a question of efficiency, because it's also and if your opponent is totally automated and you are not, the probability that he is making the decision faster than you do is very high. So we may also have to adapt depending on who is the opponent and what are the technologies that are developed by our opponents.
We go back to the world with the same rules for everybody.
Yeah.
I heard not long ago the story of these Soviet commander. In 1983, his last name was Petrov, I think, and apparently he was on duty, and in his screen he could see that there was a U.S. missile approaching, and obviously what he had to do was to raise, up to his superiors the fact that we were being attacked, and that. But his intuition told him, the machine is failing. This doesn't make sense. He didn't give the alarm, and in the end, he was right, because it was a combination of, the clouds and the light, the way it's coming in, that, generated the false alarm. And obviously, we could have been in Second World War back in '83, right? What if that had been a machine? Right? You can, and I'm sure you could think you can program a machine, but what it would take to program a machine to ensure all that intuition, everything that builds that intuition is there, because many things are not just in the laws or are not written anywhere. It's just so much of our common understanding as humans of what needs to happen, right? So I myself struggle with that,
Yeah, I think we all struggle with that. Humans are not perfect.
That is true.
AI is not perfect neither at the moment. Will we be able to reach in the future an AI that will be more perfect than the human? I don't know. Again, I think in the defense area, the jury is still very much out, and it will be about it will really be to the nations to decide also.
And hopefully, we can all reach an agreement so that we're all fighting with it. Because if not, is what you said, right? You may want to do this, but if they're attacking you with the other one, and if it's all machines, we may not be able to follow. But
I don't have the answer to that question. Sorry.
We'll move on. Maybe when we meet next, it will be more clear, and there will be an agreement that brings us to a better place. I don't know if I wanted to ask something else, but let's open it up to the audience. Because if not, I ask another question. Huh?
So there's one question here.
Yes.
So, is it okay if I do it in English?
Yeah, sure. So I was prepared for a question in Spanish, because if you ask your question in Spanish, I am in trouble.
No, pas de problème. So we have been talking a lot about this industry, like our spatial industry, which, as you were saying, it's like really innovative in this way. I was wondering, we all know that not all the industries are as innovative as aerospatial, and of course there are a lot of industries that are like really in the back. For example, construction industry, and specific talking about geotechnic industry. So it's kind of weird, but I was wondering if you were about to start this whole transformational digital transformation in another industry, which is not that innovative, knowing all or having all the background you have right now and knowing all the advantages that this brings, where would you start, and what are the things that you will actually push forward to like prioritize in this kind of sense?
The first thing that I will prioritize would be the data, because if you don't have the data, you cannot do any digital transformation. You cannot do proper AI if you don't have the data. You cannot do analytics. You cannot do so everything is really starting with the data, and it's a complex story, because you need to define what are depending on your business, what are the business object you want to have? Where is the information coming from? Is this information of quality? Because we talk a lot about data, but it's not enough to have data. You need also to have quality data. Otherwise, if you train an AI model with bad quality data, you will have a bad quality AI. So that's the only thing you will have. So I would start with the data, establish. And really talk to each and every function of the company. So talk to HR, talk to to finance, to production, talk to legal, each and every function of the enterprise, and ask them what would be the two use cases they would love to have, and that would really change the way they would run their business, and then bring them to other enterprises. Not necessarily in the same industry, because if you are in an industry that is not advanced at large, go to other industries and understand what they have done to inspire them. So to really, you take your HR department, you bring them to HR department in automotive industry, you bring them to in retail industry, to any kind of industry where you have good use cases, and people like Gartner or Forrester or these guys, they can help you. They have a lot of network. If you look for benchmarking, when we were starting to do AI in 2 years ago. So when at the time of the emergence of ChatGPT, the first thing that we did was to have conversations with companies who were more advanced than we were in the adoption, to understand what has worked, what did not work, how they started, and how they implemented it. So what we have done, for example, in the AI principles and the policy, we took a lot from SAP, because SAP started far ahead. So a lot of things have been we inspired from them. We inspired from Pfizer in the pharmaceutical industry. So look for industries that are more advanced than you are. Ask them to present their big success, to inspire your colleagues, and then start with small thing and prioritize. So do not try to do everything at once. Really prioritize on one or two use case per function. So no more than 20, and then drive them. Some will work, some will fail. So what we have seen in data and AI globally, we have 60% of the use cases that are really working. And what I really find fascinating with AI, and I'm doing digital since now 34 years, so quite a lot of time. I have done a lot of projects when I was in Accenture and in Rio Tinto, Airbus helicopters, Airbus. I think there is two things that are very different from any other digital project. One is the speed of implementation. Once you have the data, to implement AI is really quick. So when you talk about implementing a new PLM, a new SAP, a new CRM, a new HR system, you talk about projects that will take years. Here you talk about projects that will take months. So if you launch something in Jan or Feb, it's done before the end of the year. So this one is really really striking for me. The second thing is the return on investment. We have ratio between the initial investment and the benefits you get. I have never seen that. Not on all use cases, but there are a lot of use cases where basically you have ratio by 20, 60. You invest 1 million, you get 60. You invest 2 million, you get 30. So you get huge return on investment and very quickly. And I have never seen any other kind of digital project in my life with such ROI. But we have failure. So not everything is is working. So we have approximately 60% of the projects that will work, 40% where you just think you have a good idea and at the end of the day it doesn't turn to be a good idea or just doesn't work. Sometimes because of the quality of the data you have is not good enough, or you don't have enough data to have statistical results that make sense. So sometimes you just can't do it. So we have a few use cases that we thought would be if we can crack them, the return on investment is just huge, but at the moment we have not been able to crack them. So we have tested several AI, but we have not been able to crack them. But we will not give up. So we will continue to test and to find other ideas to crack them.
More questions? Yes, over there. I like the inspire people.
Thank you. I understand that most of the application of the IA is focuses to the procedure, to the way to improve the routine. But what about application to investigation? For instance, we are talking on the space. What about different band of frequency to improve the effectivity of the circuits and so on? Thank you.
Alors, we have different usage. So basically, I was talking about, and Airbus is doing AI since decades. So the first time we have introduced AI in our product was for satellite imagery. So was the ability to interpret massive volume of satellite images, and either for the defense industry to be able to, for the defense and the government to identify threats, but also for agriculture to understand the impact of floods with optimization of the surfaces. So there was plenty of application, and this was 30 years ago. So we have started. We have quite a long history with AI in Airbus, but until very recently, it was just a story between the design office and the geek from digital. So nobody else was interested in it. Where today with generative AI, what we see is that each and every function is having use case. Legal has use case, HR has use case, commercial has use case, marketing has use case, digital has use case. So everybody wants AI and to improve their stuff. So when we have collected all the ideas, as I said, we have more than 700 now. We have classified them in along two axes. The first axis is it something for Airbus or is it something for our customers? So we have, for example, a lot of use cases around predictive maintenance to be able to, based on the data that we have observed over time, we can correlate with failure and repairs that the airlines have done over time, and basically have algorithms that predict that this equipment will fail in the next 48 hours or in the next two flights, which allows our customers to do the repair and the maintenance in advance, and avoid what we call an aircraft on ground, which is basically an aircraft that is stuck at a gate and cannot fly again. So there is a lot of use cases that are towards our customers, a lot of use cases that are towards us, and all the assistants I was talking about are in that category. And this is what we call AI for everyone. So basically, we are, for these use cases, we just use things that are existing outside. So we do not invent our own models. But then you have another category, which is more breakthrough, and when it comes to simulation. I was talking about the next generation of aircraft. So today we are doing massive simulations of design of the future aircraft, and to understand how it will work, what will be the emission, how long they can fly, and all that kind of stuff. Today you can do it digitally. You don't need anymore to build small aircraft and try to see how it will work. You can do all of that, and this part is more interesting, is more breakthrough. We'll make a lot of changes. When we were talking about putting AI in the cockpit to assist the pilots, that's the same thing. It's something that is breakthrough and that we need to put forward. So there are plenty of different use cases that will make either the life of our customers, either the life of Airbus, that will be more traditional type of stuff, because an assistant for workers, you can have it in any kind of industry. So it's not specific to the aerospace industry. When it comes to something that is affecting an aircraft or that is affecting the design of an aircraft, here you are talking about something that will make a difference.
And in that case, is your proprietary technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's basically how we. But again, I'm not pretending we know it all. That's just the way we navigate it at the moment. So we try to find our way and to identify what is the best technology, and I think that's also one of the challenges that we will have in the coming years. You can see everywhere AI solutions popping up, and so either from very well established software vendors, but also from very innovative startups. How much of that will survive on the long run? We don't know. So today we are betting, for example, on Gemini with Google. Will it be the solution tomorrow? I don't know, but at the moment I think it's a good bet for Airbus. So same thing. We are working with SAP. So we are testing a little bit the AI of SAP. Will it be what we will use in the future? I don't know. I think, because of the speed of the evolution of the technology, and we see every day new models, new software, new solutions coming on the market. I think we need to be really ready to pivot very quickly from one solution to the other as soon as something more performing is coming to the market. So that's my view. So I think we will have to be very adaptive and ready to jump on new ideas and ready to accept that some of the bets that we have done they were wrong. And that we have to change. So some of the investment will pay off. Some of the investment, basically, you will redo it again, because the company you will have bet on will not be there.
You will have learned something to do better next time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a plan, at least.
Hello, thank you. I'm here with my son. He's 17 years old, and he plans to become an engineer. aerospatial industry. My question is, how do you envisage training for his generation? You mentioned before that your employees, they definitely prefer asking AI app or tool instead of going to the manuals of aircraft or whatever technical, super big sources. Wow, I was a bit, scared because I said, wow, depending on how they prompt, they will get an answer or another, but the aircraft is there, and maybe the answer should be only one. No, how do you face training for their generation where they will never want to go to a source, to a manual? They will only want to consult, the Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever, even if it's your own tool. No.
I think so. The training is extremely important. We were talking about how to train our employees to prompt correctly. Then we also have be relaxed when you board a plane. There is so many quality controls that are done along the way that you can catch up any kind of mistake. So the quality control will remain, and even if we will again be supported by technology to do that, we will continue to have this. I think the other thing that is extremely important and that makes it difficult for us to implement AI on technical documentation, for example, is that again you cannot afford that your AI is having an hallucination and is not giving the right answer. So, and how we do that is because we force the AI not just to give you the answer, but to give you the reference of the paragraph in which the answer is, so which will give context to the person who is reading the answer, and will make sure that it applies to the operation. So it's a lot of work to be done also in the AI to make sure that there is only one answer to the question. But then there will be, the training will still be there. So it's just the way people will learn which will be different. And the use of Copilot or the use of ChatGPT or Gemini to help you to prepare a presentation. I'm just doing it. I'm doing a presentation on AI next Friday to the board of directors of Airbus. So you can say, whoa, she has probably worked a lot on the presentation. Yeah, all the first pages are generated by Gemini. And that's my message to the board is, guys, it can already do some good stuff, and there is nothing wrong in the first pages, and so the first 10 pages generated by AI. Then it's more. It has been corrected. The rest has been corrected, but the first 10 pages we did not move a hinge on it. And then there is a big warning in the presentation saying, okay, all what you have read so far has been generated by an AI. So not everything is using AI is not wrong. I think it's again it's the way you use it, and it's the fact that as a human, you have to exert your critical mindset on the results, and even if an AI is giving you an answer, when you start, when you will be in your first, you will probably check with your supervisor, and to say, okay, the AI is telling me this. Is it correct? And did I prompt it well? And you will get used to it. and you will just continue to work with your colleagues. So you will not just be behind your computer on your own. You will still have a supervisor, and we will still have quality controls all along the chain, just to make sure that yes. Again, we do it right. So the worst thing for me, and not preventing me to sleep at the moment, but will probably come soon, is how do I make sure that Airbus never ended on the front page of the newspaper because we have done something completely stupid with AI. So at the moment, what prevents me to sleep is cybersecurity. But I think that the next one will be this one. How do I make sure? And again, what we have done we have built a trustworthy AI committee where we have people from all the business functions who are looking at all the use cases that we are implementing, and really challenging each other on, okay, are you sure you want to do that? Is there a risk? Did you think of this? So we are challenging ourselves just to make sure that we don't fall into that trap. But I agree, it's a challenge. But for me, the fact that the young generation will learn using AI is not the problem. As far as they use their brain to challenge the answer from AI, and that sometimes they will identify mistakes. They will help to correct them.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to know, please take it with a pinch of salt. Perhaps it's not very related with the topic today, but I would like to know, is there any concern about the incursion of new competitors, let's say China, for example, as they are not always playing by the same rules, and to avoid the impact as it's happening, for example, in the automobile company or in the automobile industry right now?
Alors, we are very humble. So if you remember well, in 1970, Airbus was nothing. There was only Boeing, and we have been the challenger for 50 years. So now we have the chance to be the leaders, but we know where we come from. And we pay a lot of attention not to become complacent with ourselves, and make sure that we still apply to us the same level of excellence that we want to reach. So I think that if you are the leader, or I think it's probably easier if you are a challenger, because you always have the big guy to chase in front of you. So and today we have two chasers behind us. So Boeing on one side and Comac on the other side. It's for sure it's easier for Comac to they have built it from scratch, so they don't have all the legacies that we have at Airbus. So they have probably something more simple to operate, etc. But they will have to learn how to grow, how to do the ramp up. When you see how we are struggling with our own ramp up, I think that before they can get 60 aircraft per month, we have a little bit of time in front of us, and the solution is innovation. So the idea is to say, okay, we need to when they will be ready to catch up with us, is to have the next breakthrough in our hands, and to be able to propose to our customers an even better aircraft. So innovation and R&D will be essential, and it's true for us, but I think it's true for any industry. So if you want to stay ahead, you have to innovate permanently. You have to look for, okay, what is the next innovation that you can bring to your products, that you can what can you offer to your customer that is different? Is it the experience? Is it so that's where we need to work. Is to always think of, okay, what can we improve? And again, we have a lot of brilliant brains in Europe. So it's just a question of, okay, how do we get the benefits of these brains to the service of the European champion? So yes, we look at Comac. We look at Boeing. We were talking about learning about mistakes. So we are also learning and taking all the lessons from what is currently happening in Boeing, making sure that we do not fall in the same trap. We look at Comac, and we will make sure that we stay ahead of the curve, and that when they come to the next stage, we are ahead. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I agree with you. It's not a done deal. I think the only way to catch up with that is really to stay humble, not to believe that you are number one and it's forever. Always look at what is happening around you. Learn. We were talking about SpaceX earlier. We are learning a lot about SpaceX at the moment for the European space industry. So they are extremely successful with the launchers. They are extremely successful with Starlink. So we have a lot to learn from there. And then catch up, never give up, and go to the next innovation.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for a wonderful conversation. I think with that, we've reached our limit in time.
Already? Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for coming tonight. I hope you appreciate the conversation like I did. It was a pleasure to be with you. True pleasure. And if I'm invited again, I will come back.
Thank you.